Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear Poppy in the background, please excuse it. Whenever he sees me walking to the bunker in the morning, he rejoices and has to sing for all of us to hear. But anyways, hello, I hope you're all doing well today. Happy Wednesday to all of you. Hope you've been having a great week. We have a lot of news to go over, and believe it or not, some of it is good. Like this bill right here that was introduced by Thomas Massie to abolish the Federal Reserve. H.R. 8421, the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, aims to dismantle the Federal Reserve System by abolishing its Board of Governors and banks, as per the statement seen by Benzinga. Americans are suffering from inflation attributed to the Federal Reserve, according to Massie, who supports the act and blames the institution for devaluing the dollar. The Federal Reserve's actions during the health crisis, including creating money and loaning to the Treasury Department, are seen as enabling deficit spending and causing high inflation. Now, in my opinion, I'm not an expert at this. He got a couple of things wrong here, where the Federal Reserve does not directly monetize debt. What they do is they buy the debt that the banks have already purchased from the Treasury, and then they put it on their books. In my opinion, just like Mr. Massey's, it is the fault of the Federal Reserve, maybe not particularly, but the system in which it exists, that there is the inflation that we have. Because if the government wasn't allowed to ask a private institution to print money out of thin air that we, the public, will have to pay interest on, then the federal government wouldn't have the spending problem that it has. Everything is spent would have to be authorized by we the people. I'll say it again, I've said it 1,000 times. Whenever there is a fiat currency, it gives governments the power over the people. Whenever the government has to adhere to a real money, sound money, like gold and silver, like specie, which is indicated or talked about in the Constitution of the United States, I believe is Article 1, Section 10, I believe, but I could be wrong, then it is we the people that have the power, ladies and gentlemen. Our voice actually means something when the government has to stick to a spending plan that it cannot go over. And part of what Mr. Massey is talking about is this, the great McFlation, Bidenomics failures revealed in one chart. I'm not going to go through this article. I'm just going to show you something real quick that is going to astound you for those of you that don't think there is inflation. One of the best ways to see inflation is to take a look at the items of things that people buy on an everyday basis and in amount. And you have to agree that most Americans buy Big Macs on an everyday basis and other things like junk food from other restaurants. But this one here specifically covers, I believe, 3 different restaurants. You're not going to believe the inflation that there's occurred in these foods. Now take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Now this is representative as what the inflation looks like all over. Why? Because even though we're talking about French fries, we're talking about potatoes, we're talking about transportation of those potatoes, we're talking about labor for people to actually have to work, we're talking about energy that's used to make the French fries, etc. Everything that a household needs. You need energy, you need transportation, you need food, you need to be able to prepare it with fuel, etc., etc. So let's take a look at McDonald's, all right? They're going all the way back to the end of 2019. Medium French fries, $1.79. Today, $4.19. It's incredible when you actually look at the prices. You know what I noticed too? My wife went, I think she came home and she brought home like a large Coke from McDonald's, right? And I looked at it and I was like, that's a large? The large Coke at McDonald's now looks like the old medium Cokes. A McChicken was $1.29, not anymore, $3.89. A Big Mac, the big talk of the town, right? $3.99. Now this is on average, ladies and gentlemen, $7.49. 10 McNuggets, $4.49. Now it's almost $8. A cheeseburger, $1. $3.15. Now I remember when I used to live in Michigan, this was way back in the early to mid 90s. Yeah, the mid 90s or so. Every Tuesday the McDonald's there used to have 29-cent cheeseburger Tuesdays. But now they're not even $1. When they went up to $1, we were like, man, they're $1. I remember when we were able to get them for 29 cents on Tuesdays. Now they're $3.15 for a cheeseburger. Let's take a look at Taco Bell. Taco Bell price increases. Beefy 5-layer burrito used to be $169, now it's $369. Nachos Bel Grande, I'm not very familiar with these Taco Bell things. $329, $589. Spicy potato soft taco. I didn't even know there was such a thing. $1, not too bad. $1.19. And here I'm saying not too bad. It's only gone up 19%. Cheesy bean and rice burrito, same thing, $1 to $1.19. A Crunch Wrap Supreme, this I have had in the past, $3.49 up to $5.29. Well, it looks like Taco Bell, is not faring as bad as McDonald's when it comes to the increase in percentages. Let's take a look at Chick-fil-A. Deluxe chicken sandwich, $3.65. Oh my goodness, that's almost double, $6.55. 8 nuggets, $3.05 to $6. 4 strips, $4.39 to $7.85. Oh my goodness, 4 chicken strips, ladies and gentlemen, almost $2 per strip. Amazing. Medium waffle fries from $1.65 to $2.99. Large milkshake, $3.15 to $5.19. Ladies and gentlemen, inflation only has one way to go, and that is up. And it's not just with fast food that people are struggling, ladies and gentlemen. Most Americans are struggling just to keep food on the table and to live day to day. Behind the rosy economic data that we are fed by the mainstream media and by the government pundits, Americans are struggling just to keep their heads above water. And this is a pretty sad story. It's not very long, so stay with me. Monica Lomax, a 59-year-old resident of Elk Ridge, Maryland, has been feeling the pinch of rising costs, and who hasn't? Do you identify with this situation, ladies and gentlemen? I bet that a lot of people that watch this video do. She's had to tighten her budget, especially for groceries and clothing. And wait till you hear how much they spend on groceries. Now her shopping trips are primarily for essentials, and that's one of the things that we talked about in the past. We said that one of those signs that before we had a major collapse and went into a real depression is that people are going to stop spending on things they don't need. They're going to go to the store and get those things that they need just to survive, and that's what they're doing now. And here she says, I was thinking about purchasing or downsizing into another home. But because of the interest rates are so high, she couldn't do that because she wouldn't be able to get into a home at a reasonable price, even though it was downsizing. And here they say that while some people are clinging to hope that there will eventually be a back to normal, guess what? This is the new normal that we will be talking about in a couple of years when things go up in price even higher than they are now. Others fear that high inflation is here to stay, and unfortunately, they are correct. And Miss Garland, who's 47, says, we are definitely feeling it. We are a 2-person family. Our grocery bill is over $100 a week. Ladies and gentlemen, here I'm thinking to myself, what in the world are they eating for $100 a week? You know, because it can't be very high quality stuff that you can be getting for $100 a week for 2 people. It may sound like a lot, but it's really not that much when you go and take a look at how much things cost at the supermarket. For more than 10 years, the Garland's grocery bill used to be roughly $70 a week before high inflation hit. She noted she and her husband have had to cut back on spending on everything. And here where they say $70 a week, I remember when I did my collaboration with Miss Lynette Zhang here, I don't know, about a week ago or so. Actually, yes, I think it was a week ago today. She told me that when she first started out in life in her professional career, that she used to be able to pay for groceries for like a whole week or even more in some cases for $20 for her and her children. $20. And here they're reminiscing to when their grocery bill used to be $70 just for 2 people, and now it's $100, which equates to about 40% more than what they were spending just a couple of years ago. 40% more, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that they've gotten a 40% raise just in the last couple of years? I doubt it. So here, her husband, who's 53, and he's a plumber, says that homeowners are reducing their spending on services, which has a direct impact on his income. If they can't afford services, they're not going to call me, he says, and that's my job. And there was not really anything that this poor lady could do, ladies and gentlemen, before she lost her struggle to the health crisis because she wasn't afforded the medication that she required, right? I have to be careful. I'm not a doctor. I'm just reading an article, okay? And this goes along with the sponsor of this video, Jace Medical, and it's why I think it's so very important that you take it in your hands to go ahead and make sure that you have the medications that you need in case of an emergency. And here it says that a court is letting a lawsuit go forward because a lady lost her life because the hospital did not give her this medicine right here. A court has rejected a hospital system's claim that its refusal to continue giving this medication to a woman that needed it was covered by federal law, stating that the law does not apply to the actions in question. Well, what about the Hippocratic Oath? It seems to me, ladies and gentlemen, and this is 100% my opinion, that hospitals, that what they did during this last health crisis, a lot of them, in my opinion, again, was against the Hippocratic Oath. That they were thinking more about the bottom line than the oath that they took to help people no matter what. And just a quick recap of what's actually going on. It says that Mount Sinai, South Nassau, and New York City was twice forced to give the patient Deborah Bucco, who was close to expiring after the system's normal treatment failed, that medicine shown above. Under court order. They had to have a court order in order for the hospital to provide this medicine. Her condition improved after she began taking it. Imagine that. However, the system stopped the second round of treatment before the prescription ended, and Miss Bucco then expired. After being sued, Mount Sinai said that the lawsuit should be thrown out because it's immune under the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, which covers healthcare workers during a health emergency. This is a great segue to introduce to you, those of you that maybe have never heard from Jace Medical, what they can do for you and how you can better prepare yourself for a situation where maybe you need something from a medical professional, but they refuse to give it to you just because they're being told not to. Ladies and gentlemen, the sponsor of today's video is Jace Medical. Some of you may ask, but AP, don't you already work with a company that provides antibiotics? Yes, I do. And I've often said that competition is the best thing for the consumer, guaranteeing that you get the best product at the best price. And that's why I've decided to partner with Jace Medical, because they offer different things at different prices, and you can see for yourself. For example, this month they have the Jace Go Bag, which is a brand new travel size kit that you can take with you pretty much anywhere you go. And it has you covered for over 30 different illnesses. For example, motion sickness, diarrhea. I know it sounds nasty, but these things do happen. STIs, UTIs, ear infections, pneumonia, strep throat, pretty much illnesses that can ruin your fun during a vacation or getaway, but can also be used to prevent illnesses from getting out of control and being life-threatening. And for the month of May, it is on sale for $129.95. In addition to that, I do have a code that would save you an additional $10 off the price at checkout. And guess what? Jace Medical is also available in Canada. And if you're looking for something more robust, the Jace case is their most popular item, which brings your standard antibiotics amongst other medications that you may need in the case that you couldn't make it to a health professional for whatever reason. And all of these medications, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that may not know, they are all prescription medications. And it's a prescription that's written by a doctor after you fill out a short survey, just to make sure that you're not allergic to any of these medications before a pharmacist, a real pharmacist, fills the prescription and gets it shipped out to you. Jace Medical has pretty much something for everyone, all the way from the base, from the Jace Go to the Max and Kid case. And here you can see that you have the availability to add on additional medications to your purchase that you may want to stock up on. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to take advantage of their Jace Gold case, it is on sale for the month of May for $129.95 minus $10 if you use the coupon provided in the description, and I will also leave it on a pinned comment. Now, this is a very good news article. Several states take steps to block a central bank digital currency. Several states have taken action over the last 2 years in an effort to block the implementation of a central bank digital currency, CBDC, in the United States. I've told you all in the past how I think that they're going to get away with implementing a digital currency, maybe not a central bank digital currency, but a digital currency instead. And this is what I think. Let me know what you think. You see how all of these banks are collapsing and closing, all the smaller banks. Remember that we have a little less than 5,000 banks in the United States right now. I think it's around 4,500 or so. Well, several years ago, we had double that much. Now we have half, right? I think they're going to keep collapsing banks or allowing banks to collapse in order for the bigger banks to suck up the smaller banks. And then once we only have a handful of banks, or let's say 10 or 12 banks that are like mega banks, those banks are going to implement features within their system like the bank in Australia did, where they said we're 100% cashless, it's all digital now. And then guess who's going to control the banks now that we all have a digital currency? The government is, just like they controlled, well, it was assumed, I think it's assumed, I'm not sure if it was proven, but I think it was, that the government was colluding with Facebook and Twitter and all these social media platforms in order to affect something that happened a few years back. I think it was around 2020 or something like that. So we will have to see what happens if there is actually a law that says federally that we will not have a CBDC, because I do believe that Orange Man Bad said openly that CBDCs will never occur from the federal government. Let's see if that happens or not. But Indiana is taking steps as being the first to pass legislation, and a similar law was enacted in Florida last year. So states are getting on that bandwagon. I just hope that Alaska does the same thing quickly. I believe we do have a bill in the books that they're trying to pass, but I digress. This year, Indiana took a second step to hinder the implementation of CBDCs with the enactment of a measure prohibiting state agencies from accepting payments made with a central bank digital currency for any service, tax, license, permit, fee, information, or other amount due to the governmental body. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said it 1,000 times. It's up to the states' governments to stand up to the federal government. That way we will have a fighting chance when the balloon pops. It also bars government agencies from requiring payments to be made with a central bank digital currency. Imagine if most of the states just said no. What's the federal government going to do? Additionally, under the law, the state government bodies are prohibited from advocating for or supporting the testing, adoption, or implementation of a CBDC by the United States government. Alabama, North Dakota, and Georgia have passed similar laws. And I am sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Lulu just broke in here. Let me see if she can do a cameo, but let me finish reading this. I am very happy that this is happening. Just a second. You want to say hello? Look, say hello. Look how big she is, lady. All right, get out of here. Go. And I covered this on a different video, but I just wanted to revisit it, that Jerome Powell says everything's going to be okay. You know when someone else said everything was going to be okay right before a major crash? It was in September of 1929. The media was saying everything's going to be great. The stocks only have one way to go. Keep buying, keep buying, keep buying. And then you all know what happened. It took people that stayed in the stock market decades to regain the nominal amount that they had in there when it crashed. But what people don't talk about is the 54% in purchasing power that was lost in that time span. So they might have gotten back their principal, but they didn't get back their same purchasing power. Same thing's going to happen. We're going to have a great crash for whatever reason. It doesn't matter the reason. But what matters is that people are going to wake up in the sidewalk of the country that their fathers built. Why? Because the bankers and the government politicians stole everything they had. I know I messed that up big time, but you understand if you've read Thomas Jefferson's quote on how the bankers will pretty much steal everything. Another really good story, and I'm sure that Mr. Tom is very happy about this one. Alabama abolishes income tax on gold and silver. How can you have an income tax on money? That's how backwards we are when it comes to the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Alabama joins a number of states prioritizing their citizens, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine that. And protecting them against inflation and currency debasement and mounting federal debt. Under the new law's provisions, any profits or losses arising from the sale of precious metals as reported on a federal tax return will be excluded from the calculation of an Alabaman taxpayer's adjusted gross income, meaning that you can't be taxed on any gains that you make from exchanging real money for fiat currency, but you also cannot claim a tax deduction if the nominal value of that coin or that metal that you're holding goes down, because it just means that the dollar's value, as seen internationally, has gone up a little bit. But remember what real money is. By eliminating taxes on transactions involving these precious metals, we affirm our commitment to upholding the principles of sound money and protecting the savings of our constituents. Do a small experiment. I was talking to a very good friend of mine last night about how precious metals, i.e. gold and silver, protect your purchasing power. And all you have to do is ask this one question. If your grandparents, your grandmother and your grandfather, if they both left you a coffee can, one with a $20 gold piece, right, from 1913, let's say, and one with a $20 bill from 1913, and they dug it up in the backyard and they said, open up in 111 years and give it to Junior, all right? Which one do you think Junior would be more excited about? The coffee can with a gold coin in it or the coffee can with a $20 bill in it? More than likely, the coffee can with a $20 bill in it, that $20 bill will probably be deteriorated. You'd probably hold it and it'll turn into dust. But that gold coin, I bet you Junior would be a lot more excited about that gold coin. Why is that? Because that gold coin is real money. It has retained its value for the entire time that it was inside of that coffee can. Whereas that $20 bill, even if it was still able to be spent, which it wouldn't be, it's worthless. Continue to preserve your wealth if you have any excess wealth with real money that you know will not rip you off of your labor through the power of inflation. I want to say thank you very much to the sponsor of the video, Jace Medical, and I want to say thank you most of all, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in today. I truly do hope that you get something out of these videos. And let me tell you something. I appreciate you clicking and viewing it. And if you're still here this part of the video, you are awesome. And the reason I really appreciate you all watching through my videos is because I really enjoy doing them. So I do hope that some of you are getting something out of it. Remember that on Friday, I will be having a live stream. At the beginning of this week, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to have a live stream on Friday, but this Friday I will be having a live stream. So go ahead and be there. We'll have a great time like we always do. Other than that, have a great rest of your day. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.